Hey, welcome back to Buckets and Bibles. So I want to talk to you guys about leadership and headship. So headship in my house means that I have a responsibility to and over people that I've been given that responsibility, that I've been blessed with. And it's a responsibility. It's not something to take lightly. If I lead my family, my wife, my kids, my friends, if I lead them wrong, I'm going to be accountable for that. If I lead my wife and kids into some false doctrine or false belief system or into a bad situation, I'm judged at the end of an age if they don't act right. If they act right is because I taught them wrong. And so there's a lot to that. But I did want to talk a little bit more about leadership capital and what that looks like, because there's lots of circles with that. There's my house, my tent, right? My immediate family that I steward through all things. And then there's leadership amongst brothers, tribe, and even when we're out in the world doing stuff. Because leadership capital is something that I believe you have to earn. And it doesn't always mean that we earn that because we've got all this life experience and stuff like that, or all this knowledge or understanding. There's contractors that I've worked with and around that were terrible at leadership. There is brothers amongst my people now that they're not leaders, and there's nothing wrong with that. But leadership, for me, it comes from people taking that responsibility, not being gifted it or voted it in. They're taking it. It comes organically. It comes without me saying, hey, look, I've done all these things, and so I'm going to be in charge. No, that's not really. It's really tough when you got a bunch of type A personalities, for one. It's not going to go well for you. And then how you speak to people, your commo with people really matters. And then you've got to build context with people. For that to even, any of it to even work, you've got to build some kind of context with people. And there is really awesome people out there that are, prior service guys, special forces. There's guys that have been all over the world, all over the country, and done all types of different work and amazing stuff. There's guys that have led congregations. There's guys that had worked for the government and high-level positions that I interact with, and I'm gonna tell you right now, they're not all the same. There's specific stuff that people can lead in that foots the bill for what their experience is and the capital that they have built up in certain areas. But there's certain stuff that takes finesse that not everybody has. There's certain stuff that takes a hammer that not everybody has. There's certain things that take a rifle that not everybody has. Marksmanship that not everybody has. And so everybody has a spot that's their wheelhouse that they can teach in. And I'll tell you, when you notice them reaching outside of their wheelhouse, it doesn't work for people. I mean, I've seen it a million times. I haven't done everywhere I haven't done everything and been everywhere, but I have been in some pretty strange spots. And I have done a lot of different genres of types of people in different states and regions, with different mindsets, different backgrounds. You know, I come from a lot of my family members, military, veterans, action guys. So, you know, I get that stuff, for sure. I mean, for sure. But those guys are not super duper good at leading certain things. They're not super duper good at like leading us in spiritual warfare, because it's a different thing than physical warfare. It's a different thing than some of the other stuff. They're not good at like being gentle and patient with the kids. You know, I'm not saying they don't have any of those skills. I'm saying that there is different skill sets for different things. And, you know, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, everything's not a nail. You know, and I think all men struggle with not seeing things that way. You know, the understanding that there's a lot of backgrounds, like people's history, what they've been through, that kind of stuff. And what I found to be good leadership is people who step up, who can articulate well, who can comma well, who don't tell me all the stuff that I want to hear, that do hold me accountable, but not babysit me. Like, that's not, they don't micromanage my every move, and every move that I have, you know, they don't get in the middle of it. And also is they take time to get to know me, where I came from, what I've been through, what I've seen, what my experiences are, because not everybody needs a hammer. Not everybody needs a hammer. Not everybody wants a hammer either. And there is tact to managing people, to leading people. There's a way to do it that is righteous. And there's a way that works for certain people, and certain people it doesn't. You know, I'm way rough around the edges. And if you've been on deployment with me and you've been in the field or in the morning briefs, you'll know, like, how I get. I'm very, as a matter of fact, knife handy. And it's for a reason. It's to get people's attention. I don't have a hard time talking to people and giving them direction in those circumstances. Now, where it gets a little wishy-washy for me personal is that when I get home, that I can't knife hand my kids, and I can't knife hand my wife, and I can't knife hand my neighbors, and I can't knife hand the customer, you know, because it's not the same thing. And so it takes tact, and it takes a vast understanding of people and circumstances, and having a lot of the experiences across the board, and not just certain experiences. And I'm not knocking anybody that's been in the military or that hasn't been in the military, that's been to prison or hasn't been to prison, that's ever held a rifle or not held a rifle. Everybody has a different gifting and talent. And I think that's the point, is if you're trying to lead people and you don't really have a lot of people, you've got 5, maybe 8, and your numbers aren't growing, or they fall off a lot, you got a high turnover rate, you should really take a look at that. Because if I don't want what you have, I'm probably not going to really, you're not going to have the leadership capital with me if I don't want what you have. If there's not significant pieces of how you live your life that are attractive to me, you're not going to have that leadership capital. And I think to grab people's attention, you can't be cookie cutter with everybody. It's not the same for everybody. And if that's the only way that you know how to lead, maybe pick something that you're really good at and lead in that only. And the rest of it, let the Father take control, because really who he puts in those positions, a lot of time for me, they have seasons. I mean, all that doesn't last forever, you know. There's people that cycle in and cycle out of leadership. There's people who lead when it's time for them to lead and don't lead when it's not time for them to lead. You know, if we're on a live stream, you're in my wheelhouse, you're in my realm, right? And so there's certain rules. And if you start going outside of that, then one of the mods will probably put you in timeout. And if you keep blowing stuff up with nonsense, there's going to be a consequence. You may get booted from the channel or booted from the live stream. And why? Well, because there's certain applications in my wheelhouse that if you're trying to put your own agenda, if you're trying to put something that I believe to not be true or not to be beneficial, and it's taking up valuable time that we have to interact with each other, I'm going to stop it, because I don't believe that I'm supposed to allow that. I believe I have a responsibility with that. I have been taught amazing things by amazing people. I went to some amazing training things with some amazing brothers. And in that training, these dudes were top-notch, phenomenal. And that experience is priceless and precious to me. But leading in other ways, like leading my family, walking me in the spirit, you know, like, that's not the guy for that. And not that they couldn't chime in, not that they don't have valuable stuff, but everybody has a special gift, and your gift isn't everything. It's not all things. And that's not how we're designed. I don't think. I mean, you can have a whole bunch of gifts and be really good at a whole bunch of things, and that go really well for you. I've got a brother that's freaking almost everything he touches, he's good at. But not everything. And I see that he's not good at everything. But a lot of stuff he touches, man, he's good. He's fire. I see that a lot in the trades. As I'll get on a job site and, you know, a new guy will come on and they'll say, like, so what are you good at? And he goes, well, I've done this, this, and that. And you're like, I don't know. And then you show him a couple things and he's fire. He just, no problem, picks it up and can run with it. I've taught dudes how to do finish work, and it has rolled over into all aspects of their job. You know, even that it has nothing to do with finish. It just has to do with the little bit of finesse, the little bit of things at the end. And so, like, that's it too, is if you've got leadership and they're able to teach you a little bit of stuff that you can roll into some areas, awesome, man, awesome. But where I don't agree with people that try to lead nowadays, if it's not your wheelhouse, don't try to make it your wheelhouse. Yeah, don't force that. And if you're wondering why you're getting responses where people are kind of not responding to you anymore, or not participating, maybe it's how you're handling it. Maybe it's what you're doing. Maybe it's the tact that you're using. Maybe it needs a little more finesse. Maybe you got to long suffer with people. You got to have context with them. You got to go out of your way to spend time with them, to know what their family's going through, and not just hearsay, like actually spend time. You know, for me, I'm truly blessed and fortunate that I have a trade or multiple trades that gets me in a position to where I spend a lot of time with a lot of people, because the need for my trades are vast. They're all over the board. And so that skill set is more common than if you have a skill set that requires, you know, rifle optics. That's not the skill set that most of us use all the time. And if you've never used those or rarely use those, you're not going to compute with what somebody just trying to teach in that platform's trying to lay down for you. If you don't speak that language, you're not going to grab as vast as you are if you speak multiple languages. You know, and that's for me. Like, I can't talk construction to people that's never picked up a hammer, that doesn't know how to use or operate a drill. It's foreign to them. It's another language. And so I have to go at it at a different angle. And I care enough to take the time to do that, you know, for me. And I've seen really good leadership take time and look at people's stuff individually, like where they're at, what they're going through, you know, because you can't hold somebody to a standard of accountability if they don't know. You know, you're only held to the accountability of what you know. And you only know how deep people are and stuff, how invested they are, what kind of troubles they're going through, what's like to long suffer with them if you've got that time invested. And so leadership capital is something that I believe happens organically. It can't be a voted in thing, and it can be earned. It can be earned. And some people are natural leaders. I've got brothers that when they speak, everybody hears them. And I've got brothers that when people speak, or when they speak, people rarely hear them. Because that's just the way that's the way people work. And I know that sounds kind of weird. Like, well, why wouldn't you hear everybody? Not everybody has the same voice. Not everybody has the same... You ever heard somebody that speak with authority? And I guess that's what I'm getting at. Is when somebody speaks with authority in something and not ego and not self-righteousness and not like, I've got all this experience and you better listen to me. That's not how people are gonna, that's a lot for people to try to bite off and digest. You know, yeah, maybe, you know, half of your people are on meat and half of your people are on milk. Yeah, it takes a lot more, it's a lot more challenging to teach people in that format. Maybe some of your people are country folk and some of your people are city folk. It's a whole different thing. That's a different thing right there. They don't learn the same. They don't get the same stuff. They don't speak the same languages. You know, their taste in music's going to change. You know, their taste in vehicles is going to change. And I think that if you're going to lead in the stuff that you've been gifted with. And if it organically happens that you're leading a group of people in multiple things, like the scriptures, fellowship, doing life together, you know, and all the other fun things that people get to do, training and all that, cool. If that's not your gift, stick to what your gift is, you know, stick to what your gift is. You know, for me, I'm gifted at just chatting it up with people. I can do that. Me and my wife, a lot of times, because we've come from a lot of different styles of backgrounds, we're able to bridge between different worlds. And they're different worlds, for sure. If you've never been in the gang world or the drug world, the motorcycle world, you have no clue what those are like, what that lifestyle is like, and what those people are like. And if you come from churchianity and you try to mix those two, they don't mix. They're not a good mix. You've got to have a bridge. You've got to have somebody that's been there and is on to the next spot. And thinking you know and knowing is not the same thing. Because if you know, I don't have to explain that stuff to you. I don't have to explain it, not the least bit of what those are like. But for you people that have not experienced that, praise the Father that you haven't, because that stuff's terrible. It's gross. Those lifestyles that I was talking about the drugs and the gangs and the motorcycle stuff, it's mostly found in the cities. And I will tell you right now that when you're living in the hood and you're doing hood rat stuff, it's not good. It is, the rules there are different than they are for us here or in most places. The rules and that stuff are like being in a third world country. They're a different set of rules, different set of standards, and they're definitely not for the faint-hearted. Those people usually get eaten up pretty quick. And it's ugly. And I hope that none of you guys ever have to experience any of that stuff. But if you have, you've been there and you're out of that and you got out somehow, praise the Most High, because he's the one that got you out. I fought tooth and nail trying to get out. I couldn't get out. It took an act of the Father to get me out. And I am amazed that from where I come from to where I'm sitting today is so different. And I'm so blessed. I was a street, yucky, junkie, biker scumbag for a long time. And when I say junkie scumbag, I was. You know, I would steal from you. I'd con you out of your whatever you had. I'd rob your house, the store you worked at, the bar you worked at. I did terrible stuff. You know, hurt people physically, bad, over nothing, $5 sometimes. Just like my moral compass was so backwards. And how I survived that and still have any goodness is an absolute miracle. You know, I don't know how I went from putting a needle in my arm every single day for decades to having a life of abundance, of love and peace, and just the people that I have today are amazing, and I'm honored to call them my family. I don't know if other people get to experience this, but it's a miracle that I'm sitting here. It's a miracle that I have a beautiful, healthy family, and that I'm breaking generational curses that would have been it would have been doomed. It would have been passed on again. And you know, the stuff that I'm dealing with, that I've had to surrender and fight in the spirit and my flesh to not do, to not be, to not teach my kids, to not spread on to the people around me. It's a daily battle. Sometimes it's an hourly or even a minute battle, where all I can do is keep my mouth shut so that I don't spread that funk, so that I don't do those things, so that I don't act that way, so I don't put that crap back out there. And so people come from all different walks, and this is just mine. Everybody has a background, everybody has history, everybody has life experiences or upbringings or whatever. And my giftings are different than other people's, and they're not better or worse, they're just different. And so if this reaches you, bless you. Read the scriptures, you know, fellowship with people, be patient, long suffer. Study that. What's that mean, to long suffer with somebody? To go through the muck and the mud and watch somebody come on the other side. Watch somebody go through a harsh rebuke and them to pivot and fruit to come from it and then to come back into the fold. Yeah, long suffer. It's tough. It ain't easy. And it's long. It don't happen right away. So praise the Most High that miracles happen today, that he has an abundance of grace and patience and love through our Messiah. Yeah, it's just it's a different thing, man. Anyhow, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thanks. Shalom.